Hey guys, Coach Coco here. Just jumping on the live. Wanted to see who hops on and see how everybody's doing. Alright, we got a few people hopping on here. So I just did a video about fake it till you make it, right? You hear that a lot? And in the video I just said make it, because we're not faking anything. There's nothing to fake. If you have to fake it, then you already lost. See who else jumps on here. Hey Coach, how are you? Yo, I'm the party here. Yeah, you're the party, all right. I mean, you have any questions, drop them below in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer you. Honestly, what are you struggling with? The season's around the corner. From technique to mindset. Let's see. Right now I was just having a conversation about strength training, right? Yeah, I'm a wrestling coach. I just did a mindset study guide. Good for you. Yeah, it has to go hand in hand, right? Because there's only so many singles and doubles you can practice until a kid's in a tournament and is a nervous wreck. Using ChatGPT, I mean, I don't know how much that robot knows about a tournament. I don't know how many times it's gone in there and wrestled, but it's better than nothing, I guess. You got to do some homework. If I was you, I'd suggest watching the NCAA interviews in 2024. So after the champions win, you listen to what they're saying. Okay. I mean, there's a lot of free information out there on the blogs and whatnot. You could find a lot of information for sure. I'm going to give it another couple minutes. Just wanted to jump on and see if anybody had actually any questions. So you're the only one. So you have any more questions about that? Hey, Chris is here. Look who it is. Numbers are low, Chris, but we're happy you're here. Just seeing if anybody has any questions about mindset, strength training, etc. See, Chris is with us. Chris is putting in a lot of work, getting ready. Got another member. What's a good way to get these soft kids in my area to be more aggressive? Well, that's a loaded question. So to be more aggressive, right? I mean, you got to develop it with hand fighting. So, I mean, it depends on what you observe. Like if they're just putting hands on each other like patty cake, then you have to encourage them that they're not going to hurt their partner. Like, don't be afraid to be physical. In the past, when I've had to deal with that, I've told kids, like, you're actually doing them a disservice by not giving them the full effort, full aggressiveness, because they're going to go into a match or a tournament and they're not going to give the real feel. So when they get on there and they're in a real match and they're not giving a real feel, they're never going to have felt that before. So it's like you tell them to their face, you tell them straight up, like, listen, you're not doing your partner any favor. If this is your buddy and you care about him, like, you got to give them a real feel, because you're not doing them any favors. So a lot of the times the kids are quote unquote soft because like it's their friend and they don't want to hurt them. But it's like, if you really care about this person, you're going to push them to be better. So accountability is not a punishment. Unfortunately, you get that confused in today's society. Accountability is not punishment. It's actually the reward. So we should be grateful that somebody cares so much about us, they want to push us to be uncomfortable. Chris, what's your strength training looking like for me at where I'm at my age, or for the team, for my athletes? Those are two different things for sure. But I'll start. I mean, I'm doing full body workouts. I typically believe full body workouts are great for like anybody who's probably like 25 and up, realistically, if they're outside of college sports. I just feel like you get the most bang for your buck, right? I love the principle of a training economy. So what exercises give us the most bang for our buck? Because realistically, if you're busy, have a family, full-time job, a business, you're going to not have every hour in the gym. When you're in college, you could spend 6-7 days a week in the gym. So you need to really prioritize what you're doing in there. The brilliance with the basics, full body lifts, compound movements. But I stay away now from traditional barbell work because it's just way too much volume on the body. Like, it's too much on the joints. So I'm doing a lot of dumbbells. I'm doing a lot of bands. I'm doing a lot of calisthenics, barbells, bands, calisthenics, carries, pushes. I love the sled because it's concentric only, so you're not getting that level of soreness typically. I'm also trying to bring back in box squats. Yeah, box squats, just so I can break up the concentric-eccentric chain. I'm just really getting into the science with Chris because he's also a trainer. Are you still wrestling, and what kind of cardio are you doing? I participate in wrestling when I run wrestling practices, so yeah, love box squats. They're just great for a teaching mechanism too, to show like depth, because that's a big problem with people who've never strength trained before. And tall guys, right? A lot of athletes are tall, so it's good for them. Are you still wrestling? Yeah, I still coach wrestling. Am I competitive in wrestling? No. My big focus right now is like grappling, no-gi grappling. Shout out to Win Jiu-Jitsu. I do a lot of jiu-jitsu, a lot of grappling. I was helping a training partner get ready for an MMA fight. What kind of cardio are you doing? Hey, Mike D, that's the real estate expert right there. So what kind of cardio am I doing? I do a combination of like HIIT, and then I do like long distance to build my aerobic base. So I'll do 2 to 3 miles, or I'll go 20 to 30 minutes on the elliptical or the bike. I'm not running as much outside because, again, it's like volume. It's a lot of impact on the joints. So I'm trying to use more of these cardio machines, which I was super against, but you have to change and adapt with your training as you age and as your priorities change. So what I do for myself or what I'd recommend to somebody else is different than I would for one of my athletes. So yeah, cardio, best cardio for wrestling is to wrestle. Then we can start adding in, the battle ropes. We can start adding in, one of my favorite tools is the Airdyne bike. That can make you an All-American, no problem, that Airdyne bike. That thing breaks tough guys. Shout out to Luca. He was at Nyack the other day. We were showing some technique over there from the underhook. Thank you for joining. D3 Fitness, how you doing? It's the word. Drop your questions below. This is actually becoming more productive than I thought. Hey, improve sports performance. Mindset makes a difference. Mental training all day. How you doing, Uncle Rob? We're getting a lot of support now. So yeah, if you have any questions, sync them up below. This is a time for you guys to ask them away. That's why I wanted to do this. I'm actually if you're familiar with Slack, I started a Slack group. So we're making a mastermind of everybody who's in the Coach Coco wrestling program or has been an athlete of mine. I'm trying to connect them with the right professionals, because typically, we're going to have to jump on LinkedIn or, depend on like Indeed for a job, right? So my idea is if I can connect the right people in the right industries and the right businesses, at the end of the day, you usually get a job or you get some sort of opportunity through somebody you know. So why not be the one to connect them, right? What up, Uncle Rob? Yeah, thank you. Appreciate the support always. We're getting it cooking on here. We're going to keep doing this. Coach Jones, how you doing? Drop your questions below. That's what's going to be the biggest value to the young guys listening, and I'll share this up. I'll sync this up after the fact, so anyone who was listening or was had to miss it. Perfect championship belts maker. Okay. What is that, WWE? What up? What's up? Getting ready for the season. Preseason's here. Just trying to drop some knowledge on these guys. It's time to transform that strength into speed and conditioning right now. And I think that's a big thing, is just education, trying to educate these guys on what they should be doing to get ready for the season. It's around the corner, and even if they're not getting ready for the season, a lot of my other clients, MMA, grappling, they can get ready too. There really shouldn't be an off season, right? Guys should be ready all year long. That's when the injuries occur. That's when not that we're going to be going in season mode in August, but you should be doing some form of exercise all year long, right? That's how I feel about it, at least. That's what I try to promote. Healthy lifestyle. That's one thing I've always been a big combat sports fan. So like, boxing, MMA, for as long as it's been popular, you have these guys talking about training camp. Like, oh, I got to go to training camp. Well, I never understood that, because it's like, why do you need a training camp to get in shape? You should be in shape all year long. Nobody ever, says anything about it, but it's something that should be addressed. Like, why are you getting in shape for a training camp? Like, there is no off season for real athletes. I don't care if you're a football guy, you play basketball, you're a wrestler, you should be training all year long. I think that's another part of this that people don't really understand, is like proper periodization, planning, performance. Let's see who else is here. Oh, Casey, the real Casey. Here he is. Seeing who else is in this chat. Yeah, any questions? Let me know. I'm going to stay on for a couple more minutes. See who else hops on. I feel like this is very helpful. And even if people don't, I'll always share it out. How do you plan your weeks to be successful? Thanks, Chris, for the question. I appreciate it. I plan always on Sunday. Sunday's D-Day. Sunday is the day of planning. Thank you, Coach. Yeah, Sunday's a big planning day. So I'm doing time blocking too. Every single meeting, every single appointment we have, things from errands, everything is time blocked. So I use a Google Calendar and I time block everything. I also have like multiple alarms set up, and I'm using a physical journal and a digital journal. So those are some of the tools that I have in place just in case I miss anything. But I'm so regimented and robotic in the sense that, like, I eat at the same time, I eat the same things. All right, I got some good questions here. I'm a 45-year-old coach and I work out year-round. You're the man. Kids can do it also. Thanks, Coach. Yeah, you got to lead by example, right? You're an inspiration for these guys. You know what I say? If you're 25, 30, 35, 20 in shape, it really doesn't mean much. It's kind of like a given. But I have a lot of respect for people who are older, because it's not realistic, right? So I think a lot of people in the fitness industry work out. They got people with their shirts off on here doing silly stuff. It's not impressive to me. Somebody who's 60, 70, 80 years old, like the Jack LaLanne types, are impressive. How does an old stud heist get himself back into the shapes in his 60s? Yeah, that's a good question. Just got to start hitting the cardio, fasted in the mornings 3 times a week. It's a good base to start. Just even walking outside, walking a couple times a day, I'd say is the biggest thing right now, is just getting the cardio and focusing on the diet more. People, not even the working out, just the nutrition, and then just increasing your base activity, just walking more and trying to move more naturally throughout your day, I think would be a good place to start, Rob. What does your first practice look like for a brand new wrestler? I've been here, so this is a good question, because there's a lot of coaches who would never even look at this or take the time to answer this. So I don't care if it's a college team or a youth practice. We're always starting with stance and motion. I mean, I just am a big believer, even in October, to have the guys start with stance and motion, right? Because it's like the old, like John Wooden, maybe the old, like, I'm not going to give you a basketball until you can like run and jump and show us what you can do without the basketball. So it's the same concept, right? Like, I want to evaluate how they level change. I want to evaluate how they penetration step across the mat. I want to see their sweeping motion. And then obviously in like the typical warm-up, running around the mat, skips, jumps, etc., I'm actually assessing them with the coach's eye to see what their bodies are like and what they're capable of. I can already tell if we can get right into duck unders and takedowns, or we're going to need to take it a step back and just do a lot of shadow wrestling stuff. I'd also add like bottom movement, like teaching them how to do like hip heists and like stand-ups against the wall. Just all that like It's like shadow wrestling. Shadow wrestling, bodyweight stuff, I think is huge, especially for your 7th and 8th graders. I mean, I always say it's simple. If you can't move your own body, how are you supposed to move somebody else's? What's the first 3 things you teach a brand new wrestler? First thing, 3 things you teach a brand new wrestler is how to tie their shoes, how to put on their headgear, how to put on their knee pad. No, I'm kidding. You got to teach them stance, like elbows in, hands in front. You know who was great at this? R.I.P. Mike Krause, the best youth coach this country's ever seen. Just teaching them the basics, basic stance, basic movement, all that good stuff, So level change, I don't even teach the shot. I just teach them how to bring their chest to their thigh, just simply level changing. And I would do this all with the whistle and with a big group in front of me. So it's not like this individualized thing. It would be all group instruction. I would be facing the center of the gym. Then I'd have all the wrestlers in the circle and I'd be calling it out. Thanks for... Listen to this, man. No off season or you learn the hard way like myself. Dang. Yeah, been there, done that. Trust me, I've done it. All the stuff that I'm saying is from experience. When I come on here and talk, it's not like I'm preaching from a soapbox. I've peaked early. I've made mistakes. I've been injured. I've beat guys I shouldn't. I've lost to guys I shouldn't. Most people wouldn't be honest enough to admit this. That's the problem with the internet. 100. Thank you, Coach Jones. What's the most common mistake you've noticed recently from any wrestler you coach, new or experienced? What's the most common mistake? Not having the appropriate resources. So I see guys trying to do techniques that they see on the internet, which are great. I'm all for trying new things and being open-minded, but you can't build a house without a solid foundation, right? If anybody's ever done construction, they know they got to put the foundation down first. So you got to have solid fundamentals. I know it's boring. I know it's not exciting, but you got to have fundamentals in place, because if you don't and you start skipping steps and you start trying to be somebody you're not, that's a big thing on the mat, then there's going to be issues. You're going to have holes in your game, and then when you go to the next level like college or whatever, it's going to be a problem. How do you feel about splitting practices between experienced and new kids? Love it. This is like differentiation of instruction and education. So splitting practices between advanced and new kids, absolutely. I also believe if you have, God willing, big enough numbers, maybe at the end of practice you throw some kids in the weight room and you're doing live in the wrestling room, or vice versa, staggering practices, right? This has to do more with logistics and working around the other teams in your building. So that's huge. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think experience level, we have a problem enough just getting kids out for the team. So we don't want to scare off new kids by trying to be a drill sergeant. I'm all down for yelling when you have to, but we want to keep these kids there. So a big part of it is pairing them up appropriately. I always say there's 3 types of practice partners: below you, at your level, and above you. There needs to be a learning cycle. My school might be getting extra funding. What's the best bang for the buck training tool besides weights? Wow, it's a loaded question. Well, good for you. You guys are getting funding. That's huge. Maybe a sled or a prowler, like pushing a sled. It's expensive, but you could do a lot of things with it, and it's gonna have a lot of carryover, right? So I would invest in that. But you guys need a basic barbell set. I don't know if you guys have power racks or platforms, bumper plates. There's a lot. Hey, Hoke, it's my guy right there. We got a lot of good people in here. I'm happy about that. The young guys want to jump on the chat. No, you're not jumping on the chat. What's the most common mistake? Yeah, there's a lot of mistakes you've noticed recently from any wrestler you coach. Basic, like elementary school, kids reaching back all the time, but we've seen that actually work now. So anything can work. It just depends on the athlete and the context of the situation. There's too many coaches that are shut down kids from experimenting. So you got to let people make mistakes. I've learned that. You got to let people make their own mistakes. They have to learn themselves sometimes on the mat, in life. You can't always shelter them and protect them from making these mistakes. You're better off having them happen early. Sebastian said mental toughness. Sebastian, you're mentally tough. Let's go. We have a question about mental toughness or what? Yeah, how to become mentally tough. I just believe in doing stuff that you don't like. So if I hate air squats, I'll do air squats. If I hate running, I'll do running. If I hate the cold water, I'll get in the ice bath. So getting comfortable being uncomfortable, doing things you don't like, is like the major key to mental toughness. But it can also be like social stuff. Say you're a guy who doesn't like to raise their hand in class, like you make yourself on purpose raise your hand, or in group projects, or like meeting new people, right? So you just got to put yourself out there. It could be learning a language. It doesn't necessarily have to be something physical. It's just getting comfortable being uncomfortable. Getting comfortable being uncomfortable. We have too much convenience and comfort now because we have these apps. And just to age myself a little bit, yeah, we didn't have all these apps and all these things at our fingertips, So, you don't even have to leave your house now. You could just press a button and it comes to your house. Coach, I want to work with you. Is that possible? Maybe. Let's see if it's a proposition of value. If you could go back and coach yourself when you were younger, what would you tell yourself? What do you know now that you wished you knew then? Okay, this is a loaded question. One of the first things is something that if anybody here who's worked with me as a client or in some capacity knows, I'm a big believer in focusing on the process. I definitely focused way too much on the outcome, and I wanted to win, and I believed in winning at all costs and having a championship mentality, which is great. But at the same time, it cuts you short, because when you don't reach your goals and you don't accomplish what you want, it breaks you down. So you need to develop an identity outside of wrestling, and you need to focus on the process, because it's about the journey, because you could win the gold medal or get the bronze, but you see a lot of the times that people who get bronze be happy and more content because they bounced back, they overcame adversity, they learned a lot. So yeah, I wouldn't focus so much on the outcome, which is like the main culprit of performance anxiety, is when we focus too much on the outcome. What do you know now that you wish you knew then? I think cutting weight too. I mean, we were absolutely terrible at cutting weight. I had some seasons where I did it appropriately through diet, nutrition. Once I started learning more about performance nutrition and like strength and conditioning, but yeah, probably those two things: cutting weight, not cutting weight too much, and that mental part. That's why I'm such an advocate for mental training, because it really can make a difference. Listen, everybody, you can go to a club here on Long Island or New York City. There's a lot of great coaches here, a lot of great technicians. You're not going to have any struggle for learning new technique, but it's between your ears and probably what you're doing in the weight room. So yeah, that's why I'm such a big advocate for those things. I know how much of a difference it can make. Any good wrestling camps? Yeah, there's tons. You go to Penn State Wrestling Camp. They won the last 10 years. I tell my wrestlers all the time they're lucky they have YouTube. How old are you? Yeah, of course they're lucky they have YouTube. I mean, there's so many resources on here. I got guys, they have the school app. They have full curriculum. They're putting on a lot of stuff out there. I mean, there's digital libraries of technique now, that we have an abundance of information. So when next time one of your athletes tells you that and makes an excuse why they can't do something, tell them there's no reason that's not a thing anymore. You can look up ChatGPT or whatever it's called. You can Google it. You can YouTube it. There's a difference between the will to do something or the desire to learn more. And that's something we should hold these guys accountable for and call them out. High school and wrestling, college, different. School is awesome. Yeah, school's an awesome app. Sebastian, my guy, high school and wrestling, college, different. Yeah, it might as well be a different sport. I know it's a little exaggerated, but you have 1 minute extra in the first period, so 3-2-2. So you have another minute in neutral on your feet, and top. So when you're riding, you get a point. So just those two. Whenever you change rules to any sport or game, you change the whole thing. So you have to understand that there's going to be different things that are important. I'd say the big three that I find is finishing takedowns. Guys have a harder time taking them down. Defense is better. Hand fighting and getting off bottom. So let me say that again. Finishing takedowns, hand fighting, getting off bottom. Those are the three areas I see college freshmen, high school to college struggle with, and that they need to get better with. Yeah, school is awesome. There's some really good stuff on there that you can find. You should not have any problem finding some great technicians. So like I said earlier, there's a lot of great technicians out there. There's abundance of technique, but I think with our wrestlers is just giving them a good mindset, teaching them proper hydration, just teaching them life stuff and healthy habits. Really, go to sleep early, get off your phone, I mean, that's going to make the biggest difference, right? That's going to be like who they are as a person after the sport. So we don't want to think short term. We want to think, how's this person going to be in 5, 10, 50 years? You want them to be successful, productive citizens. You want them to be good people. That's the bottom line. Monday motivation. Yeah, I'm going to hop off this at 6:30. So hopefully there's a few more questions I'd like to answer. I'm glad you joined. I don't know if I have you on Instagram. Follow? Yeah, you're going to get a follow. Bingo. Sebastian's on here still. Miguel, Chris. Thank you for jumping on. I appreciate the support. It means a lot. This information will hopefully help a coach or an athlete out there who's been struggling. The season's just around the corner. It starts on November 18th, I think, here in the state of New York. What's some advice on how I can break up this mindset training throughout the season? Okay, I get your question, I think. You got to use the bookends of your practice. You got to either do it 5 minutes or 10 minutes in the beginning or 5 to 10 minutes at the end, but you want to like drop it in throughout the practice. Like you don't have to spend 45 minutes talking about it because one, it's not realistic, and two, you guys have skills and drills you have to do. So the bottom line is that you need to do it in the bookends of practice. Just little things like, guys, make sure you're staying hydrated. Okay, focus on the process. What are things you're looking to get better today? What's one thing that made you uncomfortable? So you just want to start getting them to reflect about their own wrestling and progress. I tell the guys this: you need to be your best assistant. We have study hall for that. You need to be your best assistant coach. What I mean is they need to be food journaling, mental journaling. They need to be doing all the little bits. Because listen, if you're a high school coach and you have 30 to 50 kids on your team, hey, cousin Ben, Coach Chad Parks, legend. So if you have all these kids on your team, you can't really give them all the undivided attention in the world. It's just unrealistic for a coaching staff. So these guys got to take accountability for themselves as well. So you got to start teaching them how to be independent. So we want to move them from being dependent on the coach to independent. So they know how to go and maybe log on to school or, watch YouTube of themselves or watch film. So you want to get them to be independent because you don't want them to constantly rely and come to you guys for questions. You want to get to a point in the season where the practice could run by itself and you're just standing there. Even if you weren't there, they could run their own warm-ups. I know this is like a pipe dream for a lot of us in our programs, but it essentially should have a system in place where you can leave it for what it is and go from there, and they know what to do. They know the routines. Adi, yeah, we got some good people jumping on, so this has been very productive. I'm very happy about this. This was a good showing. Maybe I'll do this every Monday then. Anybody have any other questions? Feel free to ask before I log off. This would be a good time. We covered a lot tonight. No more questions. All right. Thank you for jumping on. I appreciate it. If you have any other, shoot me a DM. Don't forget to subscribe to my email newsletter if you want more tips. I have a program right now on Train Heroic, a lot more performance-based. Here we go. How would you prep a kid right before they get on the mat at a big tournament? Another loaded question. Stop calling it a big tournament. Okay, we're gonna stop using those words. So like, this is a tough opponent. This is a big match. We're going to stop putting these things on a pedestal, especially if you're coaching youth kids, children. Hey, Seth, one of my former wrestlers. So, hey, okay? Does that help you? All right, I hope so. Hey, shoot me a DM, and I'll be able to answer your questions better. Chris, thank you. As always, pleasure, guys. Thank you for being on. Miguel, great connecting with you. You ask good questions. Appreciate it.